How am I planning to survive as a filmmaker in 2025? Well, as we go into the new year, that's what I've been thinking about a lot. If you're new here, I've been making videos since I was in elementary school. I've been a full-time YouTuber for almost 10 years, and I've discussed Disney, movies, and the art of animation in over 1,000 videos. And the truth is that throughout that time, I've constantly been thinking about how I can find a sustainable and fulfilling way to continue to be a professional creative, especially through the hard times. And there's been a lot of them. I've had business ideas fail, I've endured some heartbreaks, and in the past year, I was even hospitalized. But through it all, no matter what happens, I've continued to have this internal desire to be a filmmaker. I can't escape this longing to make movies. So here's how I'm thinking about working towards making that dream come true. For one, I want to create more consistently on my YouTube channel. Now, I've seen some debates around whether or not YouTubers are actual filmmakers, but personally, I don't buy into the idea that YouTubers can't be considered filmmakers. That's just silly. Distributing things through YouTube has nothing to do with the quality of the work that's being published. Now, I have come to terms with the reality that there's a huge difference between making one of my traditional talk to the camera videos versus a $200 million narrative film. Those are completely different mediums that require a lot of specialized skills. Sure, there's some overlap in the technical aspects of producing videos, like the best practices for composition and lighting and storytelling remain true no matter what, but the reason I'm remaining committed to YouTube is because it aligns with my horizon goal. Now, if you're not familiar with a horizon goal, it's a concept I heard in the last few years where instead of picking one hyper-specific goal to work towards, you move in the general direction that interests you. Like for me, I'd love to direct a Disney animated film, but does that mean if I never achieve that, I'm a failure? No, of course not. Instead, my horizon goal is to work in entertainment, and in a lot of ways, I'm already doing that. I learn and discuss movies professionally, so I want to double down on that. Back when I was in college, I was producing 2 videos a week, and I was committed to that for years. But when the tough times came and the pressure of being a full-time creator kicked in, I felt like I was beaten down. I definitely have some perfectionist tendencies too, and when they've bubbled up, I've gotten in my own way a lot of the times. There's been a lot of moments where I beat myself up if my income is fluctuating and my viewership isn't as consistent. I found it really hard to continue to show up week after week when things feel like they're going wrong. But I don't want to let those things continue to affect my work. I feel a deep sense of loyalty to all of you who've been watching my videos for years, and I want to make things that you'll enjoy. But at the same time, I think I've allowed that thought process to go too far at times. I need to allow myself the freedom to explore new series and share more of my stories. I want to show up each week focused less on the job of being a YouTuber and more on the act of making videos. I want to stay connected to what I love about creating so I can feel better and create more. I need to follow my curiosity, even if that takes me away from topics about Disney at times. And if I do that, I'm hopeful that I'll be able to find more success. Now, having YouTube be my only income for all of these years has been stressful to say the least. That's why I explored ideas like starting my own travel agency and creating Airbnbs in Orlando. I was hopeful that I could build a business outside of YouTube, but all of these ideas were unable to get off the ground, and I think a big reason for that is because they didn't align with my own expertise and what I'm the most passionate about, creating videos. Over the last year though, I've gotten a few opportunities to use all of the skills and gear that I've acquired from my time on YouTube and apply them in a new way. By exploring corporate videography work, I've been able to establish a portfolio of work that does exist outside of social media. Now, I love creating videos about the movies I love, but I've gotten a lot of energy shooting events like receptions and banquets. I think it's so fun to be a camera operator at a soccer or football game, and this kind of work alleviates a lot of the pressure that comes from doing my own creative projects. Plus, I've naturally began to build a network of people around Orlando too. Sure, Corporate videos might not be perceived as the most glamorous thing a video creator can do, but personally, that doesn't mean that much to me because I've learned so much from the experiences I've had, and honestly, I'm just happy to earn an income from using my camera. So I'm excited to keep being a videographer in 2025. And if you'd like to hear the story about how I got started doing videography work, let me know down below and I can share that in a future video. Now, speaking of building a network, I also want to connect with more people going into the new year. You see, I always naively assumed that as my YouTube channel grew, more opportunities would just naturally come my way, but that hasn't always been the case. To get more sponsorships and opportunities, I've discovered that I need to continuously be connecting with people and finding a pathway towards the things I want. Like, I live near Walt Disney World right now, but I have no clue how to be a part of their PR events. I desperately want to go to a movie premiere, but I don't have the connections yet to make something like that happen. I'd love to even just work on the set of a student film, but I haven't found a way to begin volunteering for those opportunities. Now, listen, again, I love YouTube, but it can be really isolating work. It's hard to grow as a creative when I'm on my own in my studio for years. I never want to stop discussing my love of Disney and movies, but if I ever hope to work on a movie, I know I need to be more intentional and put myself out there. I mean, that's part of the reason I started my interview podcast show years ago. I wanted the chance to be able to speak with the people who inspired me and who I thought I could learn from. But in recent years, I haven't always kept up with it. But if I want to continue to become more involved in the entertainment industry, then I need to continue to develop my ability to build connections with people. One way I might be able to find a path into working at a studio, though, could come from going back to school. You see, I got my undergraduate degree in mathematics, which obviously doesn't directly apply to my daily work. I was convinced I was going to be an engineer or a scientist when I left high school. I always had this love for movies, but growing up in Wisconsin, I never thought it could actually be a career. I thought I'd be seen as crazy and stupid if I was identified as an artist. But I was lucky enough to find my people on YouTube who supported me as I accepted myself as a Disney princess fan. And during college, I was also embraced by the local entrepreneurship community. And it was actually the entrepreneurship professors and students who embraced what I was doing on YouTube the most. And that's what I would want to continue to study in a master's program. You see, one thing I've been realizing is that I want to give myself the breathing room to be able to create without constantly worrying about the commercial viability of everything I make. And I think a master's in business administration or an MBA would be able to help in two different ways. For one, I think the degree could help me get into a studio. I'm hopeful that by combining my experience as a creator with an advanced degree, that I would inevitably be able to find an opportunity to be an intern or find work within the film industry, or maybe at a social media platform like YouTube. Listen, I would of course love to study film formally, but right now a degree in business, I think just gives me more options moving forward. I'm lucky that I'm willing to do the back-end logistical work in hopes of getting in the door. Plus, if there isn't a job waiting for me, at the very least, I'll get a broader understanding of the best practices of business, and hopefully that will allow me to be able to build my production company in a more intelligent way. For example, I hope that I would be able to get a better sense of how to find and sell clients for my videography work, or that I would be able to get a better sense of how to articulate why my content makes sense for sponsors. The truth is, I've been a solo creator for most of my life, so I would appreciate having some time to be mentored as I move forward in my career. Throughout the next year, though, I would also like to give myself the time to work on bigger projects. One dream I have is to produce a short documentary about Disney and submit it at film festivals. But to do that, I need to give myself the space to figure out what I have to do to make something like that a reality. As I've been reading more books about the behind-the-scenes stories from the productions of films, I'm also starting to get the urge to write one myself someday. But I need to dedicate time to do that. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to go about any of this. Maybe I need to carve out 30 minutes or an hour each day for exploring these more experimental projects, but I want to make some kind of progress on these new frontiers so that they can start to develop. I don't want to let too much time pass where these ideas just sit in my head. And I think it'd be really exciting to see my efforts culminate into something larger than the week-to-week videos I create. Even if none of them get off the ground or find success, I think having projects that I'm able to just obsess over and be passionate about would bleed into the rest of my life. So what are the steps that I'm taking to become a filmmaker in 2025? Well, it's a combination of a few things. A lot of these ideas all connect to the idea of creating runway for myself, being able to earn income in a variety of different creative ways while continuing to build upon my skills and align with my passions is something that I'm very focused on. Being able to combine the work I do on YouTube with videography work and understanding the creative business at a deeper level are all things that I'm focused on. It's all kind of connected to this concept of moving forward, finding new opportunities that may be able to lay before me, and continuing to move towards the idea of working in entertainment and working in film. It's less about moving towards one specific goal and hyperfixating on that, and more about enjoying the process of creating every single day. But this is just how I'm thinking about the next year. Let me know in the comments what kind of goals you're working towards, either personally, professionally, or creatively. Also, if you'd like to support everything I'm working on and you'd like to go deeper with this community, consider joining my Patreon page, which is linked below. Finally, I'm Isaac Carlson. Thanks for watching and have a magical day.